Welcome to another episode of Dil Se Stories. We have, as usual, a very special guest today, Mr. Harsahej Singh Anand. Did I pronounce that right?
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, everyone. My name's Harsahej Anand. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm 22 years old and I am a creative director. I'm a producer and I'm also a talent agent. I work in the entertainment industry and I've also worked in the fashion industry. I have a huge passion for literally collecting sneakers, fashion, filmmaking, and just representing anyone who looks like me, representing diverse people.
That is awesome. And I am Dr. Parag Bharadwaj. So let's get going. So tell us about how you got interested in all the things that you described.
It's weird. I think just growing up, right? Like when I was at a very young age, I think I always try to figure out what is something I could do to stand out. I think I always grew up around people who always had something figured out. I felt like everyone always had like a purpose. They wanted to go into be a doctor, or they were very smart with numbers. And I felt like that wasn't my niche, and I always wanted to figure out what I could do personally just to stand out. And I started getting more into the creative space. I think one thing I saw that was lacking was people who looked like me on television, people who looked like me on magazines. I started noticing when I was just going into high school and also just transitioning after high school into college that there are not enough Punjabi people, there are not enough South Asian people. There's not enough diverse cast of people in entertainment, in fashion. So I always was figuring out what I could do to stand out. So that's that my first ever breaking point was just getting into fashion. I always loved collecting shoes. I always loved wearing pieces that were different from normal kind. So I started going into New York a lot. I had this nonprofit organization that I used to work with. It was called Sick Coalition, actually, and that really, really helped me just getting familiarized with the city. I would, after that organization, I would just go into the stores, just figure out like what brands I like, what I want to wear. And when I could go back to my school, this is like I could tell everyone, I went to this store, I went to this store, and I got this shirt. So yeah, I got into the fashion industry through that, and I got connected with a lot of cool people, and that from there led me on to working with very cool projects.
All right. So many questions on my mind, but let's take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
So, do you remember when you really thought, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing? Because you mentioned, folks, especially from our community, they have a lot of pressure to go into certain professions.
Yeah.
Um, and so, how was that experience for you?
I think the first time I ever thought about this as a professional career was definitely when I was in high school. When I was a junior in high school, I I really sat myself down and I was thinking what I want to be, what I want to do, what's the mark I want to leave on this world. And I really thought like I always knew, like I previously mentioned, like I was really never that good with numbers. I was really never that like amazing standing out at school, but I always had this niche for being a little creative. I took a filmmaking class. I was always very good with all the Adobe software, amazing at Premiere, amazing at Photoshop. And my teachers in those classes would love me, but my teachers in biology or math classes, they would be scolding me. They're like, we need you to get your work done. But in filmmaking classes, they would love me because that's where my passion would truly stand. So I decided that I did want to do this full time. But in high school, I was very lost. I was like, okay, I do want to get into a creative space, but what is the meaning of being in the creative space? Like, what is being creative mean? So I ended up like choosing a school, and I chose for the major media studies and production. And through that, I knew I could educate myself even more about what it's like to be in the creative space, like what it means to do production, what it means to do directing, what it means to be in the fashion world, the entertainment world. So that was very eye-opening. And I think the biggest thing a lot of people were to tell me, you're taking a risk. And I felt like just growing up, like I always had that mentality. I love taking risks. That's something that always motivates me is tomorrow isn't promised. So for me, taking a risk is a big deal. I never know what something could come about. This creative industry is very open, and I just love being in it. And it is a big risk, but I love it.
Yeah, it seems like that's what motivates you, right?
Yeah.
Is having to have that risk.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned you went to college. So, tell us about that experience uh, for somebody who's not even close to what you do. When you apply for college, how do you figure out what you want to major in? And of course, at times you're allowed to change your major as well, right? So, how did you hone in on your interest?
I think so. When I was first going into I needed to make sure that like my general interest, a lot of people, one thing I also noticed, a lot of people who go into the creative space aren't don't actually go to college. And that was one of the biggest things I wanted to do was not go to college because you don't really need a degree to get into the creative space. But I just did want to go just to experience it a little more and kind of get out of the comfort zone of being in New Jersey slash New York. I wanted to go to Philly because I knew a lot of diversity was there as well. So I think when I was choosing my major, I think first and foremost, like the first thing I thought was I needed to choose something that relates to my passion. And my biggest passion was media studies production, and it still is. So that's the major I actually did end up choosing. And when I did go to school, I learned a lot about the production side. It was a lot of education I got from school, but a lot of things that I've learned was very independently, how to connect, how to network. A lot of things I learned was actually from YouTube as well. A lot of things I learned was just reading random books, looking at other podcasts, hearing success stories from other people, what they done, if I could try to follow their blueprint. College was very good for me. I met a lot of new people. I met a very diverse most people. I made one of my closest friends in college. I don't even consider them friends. They're family to me. And I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for college, if it wasn't for those classes, if it wasn't for my friends, if it actually wasn't for the city of Philadelphia, because I learned about like the diverse culture there, and it was very just inspiring to me to see. It's a very bright city. It's a very small city, but it's a very bright city. The community is very tight knitted, so that motivated me a lot as well.
Awesome. Actually, if you would have asked me to guess after all, after your introduction, if you went through to college or not, I would have guessed probably not because you've done so much already, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's remarkable. So you're definitely a high achiever. So let's talk a little bit about. So you described yourself to be in entertainment and fashion,
yeah.
right? Um, you have an Indian background. How much of what you do is influenced by your background?
I hold a lot of pride in my identity. I think my identity is the reason I wake up. And there was definitely a time in my life where I was very insecure about my identity. I think growing up, I think just being a brown person in general, sometimes growing up, you could hold a lot of insecurities because you are sometimes put in a group where you are the minority. I grew up in a very white predominant town, and I always like growing up, I always felt like there was not enough of me. There's not a lot of people that looked like me, right? And in the beginning, I kind of got demotivated by my identity. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like my beard. I didn't like my turban at in the beginning. And then as I grew up and as I was going into more the creative space, I started holding more pride in my identity because I started noticing that people who are young, who are very brown in the South Asian community, there's a lot of times when people do get bullied because of their skin color. There are a lot of people get bullied because of the turban they wear, the beard they have. The whole like that's the whole reason I wanted to go into as well because I wanted to change that. I wanted to the more I grow up, the more I want to motivate my younger self. The more I grow up, the more I want to motivate the younger crowd of people in the South Asian community. I want to represent the diverse community. So that's why I hold a lot of pride in my identity. And whatever I do and wherever I go, I will always have this on my head and I will always keep this on my chin. So that's something I'm very proud of.
Great, great. So, yeah, but tell us about from a fashion point of view,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming your background is from Punjab
Yeah.
and such a vibrant and colorful state, right?
Yeah.
So when you are coming up with your um, products in
Yeah.
terms of, the works that you work on. How much is influenced by that background of yours?
Oh, it's influenced a lot. I think in my family, my mom is the most fashionable, and she even when we have weddings, she's the one who wears like the most vibrant, colorful suits to the Punjabi weddings. And I think that the culture of Punjabi being so vibrant, so colorful has always influenced me. I love colorful items. As you can see, I'm wearing a floral t-shirt. I I get very inspired by the fashion scene in Punjab. It's not talked about enough in my opinion. It's so much color there. So many things to observe, so many things to be inspired from. And I think that's what helped me so much. And when I did go to Punjab, I got so much inspiration, and it's cool to see people from different backgrounds, right? When you're stuck in one place, I was always in New Jersey. I was just like very stuck. I didn't really get inspired because I wasn't getting out of my comfort zone. And then I go to Punjab and I see how colorful this city is, how different the people are here, and that's something that very inspired me a lot.
Great. So you came back and now you've actually moved to the West Coast.
Yeah,
So what made you move
I
to the
think
West Coast?
what made me to move to the West Coast was I wanted to make the change now in entertainment. A lot of the entertainment lies in the West Coast, especially in California side. I I moved from because I did a lot of work already in the East Coast, and I did want to slowly transition over to the West Coast, work for an agency, and work for an entertainment agency, and just keep building myself. I think California was the perfect option for me. A lot of my shoots that I actually did required me to travel to LA. For example, required me to travel to LA. A lot of the shoots do happen here, and that's what always motivated me. I knew always in college that I was going to end up moving to California because that's where the whole world of entertainment is. That's the whole world of where you could find the right person at the right time. They could help you build yourself up.
So what is it about having to come to California for the shoots? Is it the weather, just the back, the resources that you might have here? What is the draw?
I think it's the overall vibe. Um, Definitely the weather. The weather plays a very big predominant role. I hate the cold weather. I hate winter so much. New Jersey, New York, winter is probably the worst winters anyone could experience. It gets really cold out there. So just being in LA is just the weather, the palm trees, everything is very motivating. I like to wake up every day and just know that I'm surrounded by palm trees and the sun is out and there's a beach near me. And I think also the resources here are very valuable. It's a city where you could grow. It's a city where you could learn. It's a city where you can make mistakes. And from your mistakes, you could grow even more. It's a city of networking. A lot of people here are kind of in the similar mind space. I see LA as a very creative city. You see people who are into filmmaking. You see people who are into fashion industry. You see people who are into production. You see people who are aspiring singers here. So it is a very creative city, and a lot of people do get together and help build each other up as well. But again, like just like any other city, you have to be careful. It's like a lot of cities, like a lot of people do tend to use each other a lot, and but you just have to be careful navigating yourself throughout.
Thanks for sharing that. So you do a lot of things. Skill set is pretty broad,
Yeah.
right? Um, so tell us about the projects that you've done. I saw that you've modeled for some products. You've done your own production of a few ads.
Yeah.
So where is your draw? Maybe you're able to do everything very well.
I think my biggest thing right now that motivates me is let's talk about the projects first actually. So I've my first ever groundbreaking project that I gotten was for Nike. That was the international campaign that was in every Nike store in the world. So it was very cool to see. My face was just on posters and a lot of people were sending me messages that they felt inspired, they felt motivated. I got all these beautiful messages. One of like the messages I actually got and was from a mom of this kid who was in sixth grade, and she sent me this paragraph, and she said that my child was literally about to cut his hair because in school he would not be liked because of his long hair. And one day I took him to the mall and we came across your Nike poster, and he saw us sing on the poster. And from that day, he felt so motivated to keep his hair. And I generally teared up crying. I generally teared up just looking at that message because I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. Just keep representing people of my own and just keep diversity as high as it could possibly be. So Nike was my first groundbreaking project. And then I moved on to other projects as well. I just started connecting to other people. And then from there, I got New Balance, I got Asics, I worked with Apple, I was on a television show. And slowly and slowly, I was being in front of the camera, but I started slowly transitioning into the back of the camera as well. I started working behind the scenes. I shadowed a lot of the directors. I was helping with product placements of the shoot where certain things should belong. I was helping with some of the talent, the logistics. And a lot of people ask, well, why you start transitioning behind the camera? The reason I started doing that was because I wanted to do something more, right? I loved the idea of being in front of the camera, but I also love the idea of creating something and bringing it to life and executing it. I think my goal, I always like I say this a lot and I'll say it again as well. My only goal is to keep representing. My only goal is to bring more diversity, inclusivity into into the entertainment world, into the fashion world. So I started transitioning into behind the cameras, and that's when I first started learning what it is like to execute an international campaign, right? I started learning from Asics what it's like to bring out the whole shoot and make it come to life, and this helped me a lot. And that was one of the biggest motivational reasons that I started transitioning into entertainment. I I want to create something in entertainment that is groundbreaking, that is going to change how every brown perspective is seen on screen, on digital media, and that's been my only goal. I've worked on a lot of independent projects. I worked on a spec ad for this lemonade brand where I did the whole production myself, where I did the whole directing myself, and where I scouted street talent to come onto the shoot, and that also gave me a lot of insight. I've come out with other two short films that I did as well. One of them was called Curtains of Life, and another one was called Self Observed, where my mom was actually the main cast. So that's where I started learning more about filmmaking, the idea of directing all by yourself, production, and all that. So my my thing is I want to create something groundbreaking entertainment. I started up my own talent agency. I'm currently working for a talent agency, but I created my own talent agency where I represent people who look like me, people who are in the South Asian community, because I know it's very difficult for people to get an opportunity to step to step into the entertainment world, to step into the fashion world. And I also, while I'm working my way up to be an executive producer of different shows, I'm working my way up to create my own show for a streaming service like Netflix, for Hulu, for Amazon. And yeah, I think I'm just keep going with that goal. And the thing that's always in my head, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is think about what could I do to elevate my people? What could I do to elevate my 8-year-old self? What could I do to elevate the Singh who's wearing the turban and beard, who feels no type of representation in the creative space?
Awesome. So I did see that ad and I enjoyed it. I do have to ask you this question.
Yeah.
You know that sound of the gas drinking the lemonade?
Yeah.
How do you come up with that sound? Because even growing up, when you see these ads for different drinks, they always have this sound, and it really makes you thirsty. It
Yeah, it
really
makes you
makes
there.
you
Yeah.
thirsty. Yeah, that was
What do
very
you
well done. So how do
so
you?
when
Yeah, go ahead.
what do you when you make ads when you're producing something, right? I okay, so I actually did watch this video of this very famous director that also helped inspired me. It was like when someone watches an ad, when someone watches a movie, you want them to be part of the story. You want them to forget everything else that's going on, and you want them to be part of this thing that you're creating, the film that you're creating, the ad that you're creating, right? And one of the biggest things when you create film, when you create an ad, is the sound. Sound is one of the most important vital aspects of production, right? Because us as humans, we have ears, we hear everything. Right now I hear a helicopter going up in the sky, and like that's the first thing I heard right now. And when I'm making an ad, I want to make sure obviously the visuals are very captivating, but I also want to make sure that the audio is also very captivating. So with that sound of the person drinking it, it was actually one of my friends. The drinking, we recorded him drinking something. It was actually from the actual like lyrical lemonade can. He took a sip off that can, and then we edited it in a way that sounds even more appealing. So when the viewer watches it, they also hear that, and it makes them thirsty, which hence makes them want to buy the product and try the product of their own.
Yeah, I thought that was very well done. It was very interesting because yeah, it made me feel thirsty.
Yeah. I'm
So
glad because that means that like the ad is working, and
yeah,
it's if it makes the viewer thirsty, if it makes the viewer want to buy the product, that means you're doing something correct.
it's very well done. So I saw the ad, I saw the pictures, but I didn't come across the clips of your short movies. So where can one find those?
So with short movies, you could go on my YouTube channel, Harsahej, and I also have my own website now, harsahej.com, where if you go on the on one of the drop down menus, you could see some of my independent work that I made from all the short films I've done, from all the projects I worked with different brands. You could definitely check all those out there as well.
All right. So please, yeah, provide us all the links and we'll add those to the in the description section of this interview.
Yeah.
Now, so what's cooking? What's your next big project?
Next big project is I don't really talk. So the thing about projects is when I do projects, I keep them very low key until they come out as well. But something that I am working with is I'm working with different entertainment agencies, and I also am working with different studios as well. Currently, right now, I'm working under a studio where we're helping create a film. So that's something that I'm cooking as someone working behind the scenes as a director and as a producer as well. So there's a lot of cool projects that are coming out as well. And when it comes to like also fashion brands as well, I've done shoots and they're all in production right now. And we're all just waiting for the day that it just drops and comes out.
Awesome. And what about music? Do you cover music as well?
Music is something that that's no so like the music industry is very different. So that's something that I've never really touched upon, but music is something that's always very motivated me as well. I've all my work that I do is like when I'm like writing a script, when I'm creating something, when I'm editing, I always have my headphones on and just very passionate about the project that I'm doing because of the music I'm listening to. But I've never really got into the music industry, but that is something that I'm like always interested in. I've always studied about it. I always learned about it. I have friends who are in the music industry. I've I've seen people who are artists who've gone like get like record deals and stuff, but that's a whole niche of its own. And my niche is entertainment.
Got it. And thanks for clarifying that
Yeah, no.
because I tend to put everything under one umbrella and clearly it's not. So, I know you described that you like when you're working on projects, you like for them to be low key. But what can we expect from you in the future? If only if you want to share it. Do
Yeah.
we expect like a full feature movie that you're going to be working on? Is that your dream project? What would
That
be a dream project for you?
my dream project is there's this one street on in LA. It's called Sunset Boulevard. It's the movie street. It's where every single movie is featured when it comes out of all the directors and stuff. My goal is to what so I have several goals in entertainment. So my first biggest goal is to be a showrunner, create my own television show where it's pitched into Netflix, where it's pitched into Hulu, where I come up with the whole idea, the story, the execution of the show and hopefully one day it's on that billboard on Sunset that a show that I created. And I want to have my own entertainment agency where it's just built and full blown, where I'm hoping represent a lot of people. And yeah, I want to, like, this one day, I hopefully it leads down to the path where I win an award. I win an Emmy for the great work that hopefully I put out there. And yeah, man, I'm I have a lot of big goals, a lot of dreams that hopefully I can accomplish one day.
Yeah, just observing your passion. I really wish you the best, and I'm sure you're going to achieve whatever you want to. Um,
Thank you.
Now, the thing with the um, Sunset Boulevard, right? Uh, Tell us about the other side to the entertainment industry, because you seem to be doing very well. You've done great work with some of the brands, but then I've also seen, there's so many aspiring artists who come, and it's a huge struggle for them.
Yeah. That
So, sorry, go ahead.
that I see a lot, right? I think here's the thing, when you move to a city like LA or even New York, before I even moved, I studied a lot, right? I studied what people were doing incorrectly, what people didn't do properly. I tend to see a pattern where a lot of people move actually into the city without a plan. They have a very broad goal. Yes, I want to be an actor, but like, what are the steps that you're taking to become an actor, right? Moving to a city, moving to a city is very great, but you need a plan. You need to have a structured plan, right? There's a lot of things that it takes for you to even become an actor. You have to make sure you're ready to wake up every morning, go to every single audition that's coming out. You have to be prepared for that, right? You can't come to this very unplanned. You can't come to the city very unstructured. And as even in cities like this, because there's thousands and thousands of people trying to do the same thing. So you want to kind of come up with something that makes you stand out from the thousands of people who are also trying to do the same thing as you as well. And yes, it does, like, some of the opportunities that come with luck. A lot of people are just at a place at a certain right place, right time. There's this one story of this very famous actor. It's actually not coming to my head, but they were a waiter at this restaurant, and the casting director was actually eating at the restaurant, and they noticed the waiter, and they're like, we would want you to have be part of our movie, and they became a very famous actor. So there's luck that plays into it, and there's also people who have already connections into the entertainment, like their father is working in the entertainment industry. They have a cousin who's working for Marvel. They have a cousin who's working for Disney, right? And then there's people who have absolutely no connections at all. Their dad's not working, their cousin's not working in the entertainment industry. Luck doesn't usually play in their favor. So and that's 80% of the time. You really have to work hard. You have to network. You have to put yourself out there. You have to walk into the studio and be like, this is who I am. Give them your resume, call up the studios. You have to build your name up. You have to create buzz around your name. So you have to push yourself.
That's awesome. And clearly, you've done a lot of homework before moving to Los Angeles. Now, the production work that you do, you mentioned TV shows and so forth. What's your favorite genre? Because there's so much that you can cover, right, in terms of subject matter. Is it
Yeah.
comedy? Is it relationships or action?
I think when I was first starting, I think my biggest thing was just action. I love action-packed shows. But then I started digging more deeper into like genres of shows. I really like the idea of something like a dark show, a show that's dark, but there's an element of comedy in it. Uh I think my favorite show actually that has ever been made is Rami. Rami's a great show. It's about an Egyptian American who lives in Jersey City, New Jersey, and his whole family is from Egypt. They moved here, and he's trying to navigate himself through the American world, through love, friends, just life in general, while having while having like while being Muslim and trying to navigate his religion as well. I think that's a very cool show. It teaches a lot of people about the the religion of Islam. It shows a lot of people what it's like to be an American Egyptian with first gen Egyptian parents. And it is very relatable. And I love shows that are just relatable, that touches upon people. So when I create something, I want to make sure as well that it is very relatable. One of the films that I did make was Curtains of Life, and the feedback I got on that was very, very good. A lot of people, like a person came up to me and said they got chills from watching that because the purpose of that film that the Curtains of Life I made was it was just this kid who was struggling to find his passion. He was a referee, he was a doctor, he was a therapist, right? And then at the end he becomes a director and his whole face is all happy, he's talking, he's energetic. So I love stories that really are relatable, that people could be like, you know what, that happened to me. Oh my God, I had parents just like that. My siblings just like that. My personality just resembles the main character. So I like the whole idea of that. So I think it comes down to dark, dark comedy.
All right. So, very inspiring discussion. Uh, Anything that you want to share with aspiring artists?
One thing I always share is figure out something that's going to make you stand out from the thousands of people. You want to figure out what you could do. I think what really really motivated to me what motivated me a lot was just locking myself in a room. It was just me and this journal, and I my phone wasn't there, my laptop wasn't near me. I wrote down so many ideas of what I want to do, right? A lot of people when they struggle, a lot of aspiring artists, they want to be a jack of all trades. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to be an actor, they want to be a director, they want to sing on the side, right? Choose one thing that you want to do, hold on tight to that, and run to that goal. Like you need to study the blueprint of people of that niche that you pick, that like the for example, my niche is like I want to create more diversity, I want to create more inclusivity. And when I mentioned the show Rami, right? Rami is one of the people, Rami Youssef, he's the creator of the show, he's very inspiring to me. I studied him. I study people. I love to study success stories, and that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, right? Don't copy their exact blueprint, but get inspired by that blueprint. You see that blueprint, see what you could do of your own from that. And that's what I love to tell all the aspiring people, right? Take the risk, have fun with it, make sure you're passionate about it. Don't juggle a lot of things at once because you are going to get burned out from just trying to do that. Pick one thing and go straight into it.
Awesome. So, what I'm going to request you is to consider keeping us updated in terms of what's going on in your life.
Of course. Yeah.
Would love to have you back again on a regular basis. And then, of course, when you get the big award.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't wait to update you.
Yeah. So, good luck to you, and thanks for your time. And we'll look forward to having you back again soon.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.